shifted my perspective to I actually don't care about a steady paycheck bringing me joy. I care about
Mm-hmm.
how I'm spending my time on a daily basis.
Welcome back to another episode of the Kickback with Keri podcast. I'm your host, Keri Henderson, and I'm super excited about today's guest because we have been following each other on social media for over 7 years, and this is the first time we're meeting. She is the CEO and creative director of JLANI Jewels. Their jewels have been seen on Beyoncé, Sierra, Tamron Hall, and featured on Oprah's favorite things list. So I'm super excited to welcome Lani Nesbit. I was really excited that you agreed to do this because this is new. This whole podcast thing is new, but I have the newsletter. And then I've started doing events, and I was like, the third thing is podcast. And I really wanted to use it as a space to like get the at least brands that I love, especially small brands that I love, out to the masses and that people should know about.
I appreciate
and I
it.
noticed with you, I was like, let me just look up, JLANI Jewels. I'm like, you don't do a lot of interviews, or it's very much like your brand and product speaks for itself versus like you out there doing interviews and stuff like that. Is that intentional?
It was at first because I'm very much camera shy, and I definitely enjoyed being behind the scenes because I did want the focus to just be the art, let it just be the work, and if you love it, you love it. But I do notice with the increase of, being more transparent with brands these days, people do want to connect with the person that they're supporting, and they want to trust them too. And so, I have nothing to hide. It was just like, I was just very introverted, and I realized that, being in this business, in this industry especially, you do have to have some level of visibility where people do feel like they can connect with you on on a human level and not just like buy my jewelry,
Yeah,
So
that
I
is so
think
true.
it was important for me to start accepting these invitations to, be in these spaces where people can see me and hear me and feel me,
Well, I'm proud of you. Okay. Good for you. Good for you. Because I'm always tagging your stuff. I'm wearing my jewels today. I have my hoops.
I love
Listen,
it. Yes.
you
Oh,
you know
I got to
you
see
know
what the hoops are.
I wear these all the time.
Yes.
And anytime I wear them, I tag you. I'm like, my signature hoops. I got my rings. Yes. So
I love
yes,
it.
because I have these, and then I have the silver hoops. Because
And I know you have the large J hoops,
no, I just have these.
like a
Well, are those
chunky
the
pair,
smaller ones?
the smaller chunky pair.
Yes, I have
Yes.
those
Yes.
because I got the 2 hoops and I got the chunky pair, and then I have the I think I got a Cuban chain.
Oh,
And
you got a nice little collection of
listen,
pieces.
I have two. I have 2 of your chains because I'll layer them, and
Love
people are always
it.
like, "Okay, I see you with your chains on." I was like, "Yes," and it's a Black designer. Thank you.
That's
I'm
yeah.
like, "Thank you very much."
Oh, I
So
appreciate the support.
of course, because listen, my thing is like, I'm very much, if I find something that I like and I love it, I will be hooked and I will wear it all the time and I will tag you all the time and I will tell everybody about your stuff. So
I appreciate
I don't
it.
even remember. To be honest, I don't even remember how I found JLANI Jewels, but I just did, and I remember because when I moved to LA, I was assisting, and I remember I recommended your jewelry to one of the stylists I was assisting because he pulled it, and then I think he ended up buying one of the chains. So I was like, yes, thank you.
Who are you assisting?
Apuje Kalu, he was
Oh
at the
my God!
yes.
Wow, that's a super throwback. I have not seen him worked with. It's been so many years, but wow, like that just lets me know how far we go back. Like,
Yeah, because I moved to LA in 2017.
yeah.
And so I was assisting him. I think we pulled from you like 2018, 2019.
Yeah,
Because
it was before COVID.
because I remember he bought the Africa necklace because we had
Love
pulled
it.
it for a shoot or for a client, and then he ended up buying that one because he really loved it. But yeah, I think I told him about your
God.
stuff.
Wow, yes. Oh my god, it's been so
So
long.
it has been a very long time. That's why I'm like, this
Yes.
is so cool to like connect with brands that I've been connected with on social. Because then you feel like you have a rapport on social. Because we'll be commenting on each other's stuff. We're like, yes, only
Of
children,
course. Yes.
DMing and stuff.
And I
Like,
mean, I've always felt like there will be a time where we will meet, like
mm-hmm.
when you were in LA, I was like, oh, if I come to LA and you're there, like we'll definitely have lunch. But you're in the DMV now, right?
Yep, I'm back in Maryland. Yep.
You're in Maryland. Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm in the DMV area, I'll just hit you up and we will
Yeah.
plan something. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, go for happy hour, go for brunch. We can
Yeah.
do all the things. But
Brunch. Yeah,
because
girl. Love to eat.
listen, brunch and a mimosa. But I
That's it.
wanted to also talk about your story because we don't hear a lot about, like, we know JLANI Jewels is eco-friendly, sustainable jewelry. But how did you get started in this jewelry space?
Well, originally I had a day job at FedEx and I
Mm-hmm.
did not love my job, but it paid the bills. And so I was actually looking to work in the fashion industry. I was going on interviews with so many different brands and um the most common thing I heard was that I was overly ambitious for the role. Which was interesting because I guess the person felt like, "I think she's trying to come in here and take my job," or whatever. So,
Mm-hmm.
my goal was to work in a creative space, ultimately, where my ideas played a role in executing something or bringing an idea to life or something. So, my mom had come to me one day and she was like, "You know, I really want to start a jewelry line. How do you feel about that?" And I was like, honestly, I said, I can't find accessories that are affordable and well made. I feel like I used to buy Chanel accessories and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, and like they would turn my skin. Yeah, and
Really?
yeah, it was bad quality. And I was so shocked because I was spending hundreds of dollars
Yeah.
on this costume jewelry. And so when my mom had brought the idea to me, we did some research and we started with stainless steel. And I was like, well, let's see, because I only wore real gold.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, well, let's try it. I said, if this is my foray into being the creative person that I want to be, then so be it. And that's ultimately what happened because once we started with a few samples, we started really small and the feedback was just amazing. And so ultimately we started doing jewelry parties for smaller groups of people
Yeah.
and the feedback just continued to grow and we just started to build this audience locally in New York City where we started getting invited to events and things. And so it snowballed into so many different layers. Even me working at FedEx, like it ties into this because I met a lot of stylists working there.
Oh, because they all listen. I know that side. Yes, they do a
They
lot of
you
shipping.
gotta ship returns
They
and
do a
stuff.
lot of
Yeah. So
shipping.
I was the FedEx girl for a lot of stylists.
Uh huh.
Like Ty Hunter, Jason Rembert, Fatima,
Really?
yes, like, they would come to my FedEx regularly, and so there was, like, a simultaneous thing happening where, like, I was meeting industry people, going out to events, also behind the scenes designing new pieces, telling them that I'm working on this, and then, I remember Jason had invited me to Laquan Smith's birthday party, and this was, like we're talking, like, 11, 12, 13 years ago, like,
Yeah.
way before anything had really popped off, and, like, I'm hanging out with him and Ty Hunter and all these other amazing stylists that have gone on to do incredible things now. And yeah, like it was just a combination of networking, building a community, starting small. I had like 20 pieces of jewelry. I didn't have
Mm-hmm.
much. We had like one piece that was known as a bestseller early on, and Beyonce was the first celebrity to wear it, which was
Okay, we're
really
gonna talk about that too.
yeah. And, like, yeah, it really was like a happy accident how it happened. Like, it wasn't intentional at all.
Well, I mean, that's just a testament. Even though you didn't like FedEx, right?
No, I didn't. I
You were
wanted a way
supposed to
out.
be there though.
Yeah, I was, cause there were things that I learned there, like, ultimately running an online business, having an
Mm-hmm.
understanding of shipping, like, all of these things that I thought weren't going to be, useful for me ended up being
Mm-hmm.
useful for me as a business owner. And I felt like I got to develop my people skills and social skills, networking and meeting people, and then they were like, "Why do you work here?" And I was like, "It's just for the time being, we never know what the
Yeah.
future holds." And honestly, getting fired, that's what propelled me into doing it full time.
They
And
fired you?
Girl, they fired me, and
Ooh.
I was there for 7 years, and I mean, that was my last job. I got fired in 2011, and I was like, "Okay, it's time to commit to this, and we're
Mm-hmm.
just gonna have to see it through." And so there were a lot of bumps in the roads, girl, a lot, but I I stuck to it. I just had to.
And look where you are now. All right.
Aw, love
So let's talk about the stylist. Okay, because a lot of people don't know. You and I both know because I used to be one.
Yeah.
It is very glamorous on the outside,
Yeah.
right? Like people see the red carpet, they're like, oh, but they don't know the work that goes in to get
Yes.
that 5 minutes. Like it is, yes, I'll say this, it is a rush when you see your client on the red carpet or at a movie premiere and the look has come together, but there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes, including pulling jewelry and clothing and accessories. So what does it feel like to you as a jewelry designer? Because I know from my side, like if I'm a stylist, I'm gonna reach out to you,
Yeah.
tell you my client, tell you the event, request, whatever you can send, we'll
Mhm.
use. But how does it feel as a jewelry designer when you look up and you're like, oh, they use my piece on this celebrity and it's on the red carpet or it's at a movie premiere or it makes a magazine cover, shoot or something like that. I've always wondered what it feels like as a designer.
It's extremely validating for sure
Mm-hmm.
because it lets you know that you're on the right track and anytime it happens, it's like the first time for me. I've
Yeah.
never taken this for granted ever. I still get excited like I didn't know it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, for it." And it's like you sent it to her. She asked for it. I was like, "I know, but she put it on." It's still exciting like
But
because
it's exciting because it's not guaranteed.
it's
I've been
not
on the other side. It's
guaranteed.
not guaranteed
And
that they'll use
and
it.
and people in your position, including your clients, you guys have a lot of options.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to come to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's extremely gratifying and rewarding. I never take it for granted, and I'm always appreciative. And I try to keep in mind why it got selected so that I
Yeah.
will keep that design philosophy in the frame of mind where I'm like, keep creating pieces that are noticeable, pieces that
Yeah.
make people want to put them on. And so understanding the psychology of that as well definitely plays a role. But it's all exciting no matter what. It never gets old. It really doesn't. And I mean,
Okay.
I just a little sidebar.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like Snoop Dogg a little bit, like, I've had so many side missions in my life where, like, people would be like, "What? You did that?" So, like, temporarily, I was an assistant for a stylist,
Okay.
and we were styling Serena Williams for the Met Gala, and I remember we had to take the Acela train from Penn
Mm-hmm.
Station to DC, and I remember we had to I got notice at, like, 4 o'clock in the morning that I needed to be at 34th Street at 6:30.
That's
And I
that's how the
and I
that's how
lived
the
in
industry
New
works.
Jersey at the time, and I was like, how do people survive this? Like, there are extremely unrealistic standards and expectations that
Mm-hmm.
you're expected to live up to, and if you don't, you're fired. Like The Devil Wear Prada was a very
It's
real
real. It
that
is
was
real.
very real. Like, I was like, "That is how it is."
It is very
I was
real.
crying at the train station trying to beg this man to let me get this trunk on the train because we had the trek to DC and we didn't have much time. And we got there, we dressed her, and I had brought some jewelry with me.
Mm-hmm.
And the stylist was like, "Oh, is this just about you getting a feature?" And I was like, "No, it's just brought it as options." But what happened was I had called out of work fake sick to go for this because I was working at FedEx.
Yes.
Girl, I was trying to I was it was like trying to figure out your passion and juggle this and that. And so we go to DC. We're there for at least 7 hours.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even eat. We weren't even offered any food, nothing, like nothing. And she last minute changes the look after we go back to New York. I was like, we did all of that for nothing. And then she got on the
Mm-hmm.
worst dress list that year. We were like,
Oh,
yeah,
are you serious?
yeah, yeah, it happened. Oh my God, what year was that? I want to say 2010 or 2009. The look
Cause
we
you
had
know,
for
cause
her.
you know. After this, I'm gonna go look it up.
Yes, you should. You should. Look, Serena Williams' worst dress Met Gala, whatever year that was. She didn't wear what we had picked out for her, and it was fire. But yeah, that was when I realized I'm not cut out for this because it's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot that people don't see about your side of it.
Well,
And
see, I don't
so
do that anymore, just so you know.
no, I know, but I think that also, I would say I developed a lot more empathy
Yeah.
for stylists.
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of times if something doesn't make it, I don't take it personal because I know what the process is. Like
Yeah.
having had that experience, I was like, yeah, no, this is not for me. But I was like, I definitely like the behind the scenes designing side more.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm not a part of that world anymore, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
I remember we had one
Yeah.
time we were styling Neo for the Grammys, and we
Ooh.
didn't finish in LA. He had, and, the Grammys that year were in New York, and we didn't finish his fitting until I want to say like 4:30, and most FedEx overnight ends at 4:30. And
But
so I found one FedEx that was open, and the last shipment to go out was at 5:30. Got there at 5 o'clock, got it to New York in time, but I'm like, I don't ever want to I don't want to deal with this pressure. This is too
yeah.
much. It's
Yeah.
way too much.
Yes.
But he looked great, and he was one of the best dressed guys. So I was a
Love that.
proud assistant for that. But I'm like, but had that box not made it, I don't know what
Right.
we would have done.
Listen, the run into FedEx and oh yeah, and because I had the background with that, I could make a call and
Yeah.
get the package delivered swiftly so we could make something
Yeah.
happen. It was chaos, chaos. But now
But
it's a different type of chaos for me.
yeah, but it's a good because you're behind the scenes. You don't have to do all that running around. It's like I send you this. If it works, it
Yes,
works. If it
yes.
doesn't, it's cool.
Yeah, I still operate my business from home. Like I have my general principles about not liking a work commute.
Yeah.
Just like I just very non-traditional, unconventional approach. But it was the way we simply adapted during COVID. And I was like, I was already
Mm-hmm.
living like this. This is great.
Mm-hmm.
So it works for me.
I mean, if it's not overwhelming, why not? It saves you on
No,
overhead. You
no,
don't have to worry about a warehouse or anything like that. It's like if
no.
it works,
It's
it works.
that stuff is outsourced.
Yeah.
There's a warehouse in Atlanta, but um I just orchestrate everything here,
Mm,
organize here, but everything else is handled outsourced.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So, what are since you were starting in New York and you said it kind of unintentionally took off, but what were some of the challenges of starting a jewelry brand? Because I'm sure there have been some hiccups
Oh, lots
along
of
the
hiccups. I
way.
mean I mean, for starters, I wasn't making money straight out the gate. So,
Mm-hmm.
when I was doing jewelry parties, that was supplementing my income. So, I was able to rent a room, like, I could not afford to rent an apartment by myself at the time.
Yeah.
And, so I did that for a while. And in the process, you just have to believe, and that is kind of what I was doing, but other challenges was just not having the resources to
Mm-hmm.
execute things a lot faster. So I did have to wear a lot of hats, and it did force me to develop new skills because of
Mm-hmm.
that. If you don't have the manpower or the budget to hire staff, you are the person that's doing every single thing, every
Right.
aspect of your business. And in the beginning, you don't know what you're doing. It can be really challenging or intimidating because you don't want to mess it up.
Yeah.
And so I spent a lot of time becoming extremely resourceful and I mean, making light boxes out of cardboard boxes to take jewelry photos for the website, teaching myself how to design my own logo, design my own packaging. These were all challenges, but I welcomed them because it was
Mm-hmm.
something that I felt I was only going to grow from this.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm only going to develop skills from this. And, there's no negative side to this. I mean, the only negative was that I was probably physically drained or mentally drained from just exerting so much energy, being the one person running everything.
Yeah.
But that was like the biggest challenge for me, just how to get stuff done. Um, you know, Making sure that I made enough to stay afloat, just so I can survive. And for a few years I was just surviving. Like that's what it was.
Mm.
And the minute that I stepped in, the minute that I had a major opportunity where it changed my life, that's when I was like, okay, it's time to pivot. It's time to move. It's time to make a change. And
Yeah.
I did peep that you said you moved to LA in 2017. And I don't know what it is about that year, but a lot of people I know packed up and left their hometown that year, including myself.
Really?
Yes. I moved to Miami
Is
in
that I was say was that
2017.
when you moved to Miami? Because I was gonna ask you about that. Is that when you moved to
2017.
Miami?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the challenges of like running a business solo, I definitely had to sacrifice my social life a little bit
Mhm.
because it was just a lot of demanding work for me to do to, I don't know, I guess compete with brands that had teams and had the manpower to execute things a lot faster.
Yeah.
But I think what set me apart was my relationships, knowing people, and they trusted my ability to provide them with something that they would actually use in their work on
Yeah.
their clients. And I mean, I did kind of go for heavy hitters out the gate. Like
Nothing wrong with
that,
listen, nothing
that
wrong with
was
that. Believe
that was
in
very
yourself.
intentional. Huh?
I said believe in yourself and shoot your shot. Nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. I was
Okay.
like, so I mean, at the time people would look at me crazy, like, what do you
Mhm.
mean you're gonna get Beyonce in your jewelry? I was like, I'm gonna get her in my jewelry. Like, just wait on it.
Was she
And
the first celebrity to wear your jewelry?
she was the first, yes.
First?
Yes.
Nice.
In 2012. Yeah.
So was that the year that you kind of like things kind of skyrocketed after she wore your piece?
Not really because, you know, I didn't have a publicist, so there was no one
Mhm.
promoting that she wore it. So it was
Mhm.
like people who knew me knew she wore it.
Yeah.
But if you didn't know me, you didn't know that it was mine, or, like there
Yeah.
wasn't that connection there yet. So I still had a lot of work to do. And, I had to really network and put myself out there more. And at the time, we didn't have Instagram yet. Social media
Mhm.
didn't exist yet. So I think we were only on Facebook, and it was like
Mhm.
when they just started to let you use it if you weren't a college student,
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that was a different time. And I think it was only featured on BET at the time. I think BET was the only people that because at the time, there weren't any black artists in the space doing what I'm doing. Now there's a lot of us, and I love to
Yeah.
see it. But at the time, I did not see anyone that looked like me in this space, working with high profile celebrities. And I mean, I know people were like, this girl, she got her gold plated jewelry. She gonna get it on these A-lists. I was like, watch me do it.
Yes.
I was like, it's about the aesthetic. It's about how it looks, how it feels. Is it well made? And because of my experience wearing costume jewelry that was costing
Mhm.
me way more money and it wasn't great quality, I was like, I know I have something here. So like, y'all just need to catch up. That's it. That's that's how I looked at it.
Listen, and I can attest to that because I've been wearing your stuff for years and it is still as gold as it was when I bought it.
That's right.
Okay.
Listen, and I live in Miami, so I'm at the pool.
Yeah.
I at the pool multiple times a week. I'm at the beach, I'm showering the jewels, and I'm like, it's fine. The jewels last. So
Mhm.
I've been able to test the product out for a very long time. So, I was like, I know I'm good with this.
What's the one moment then you think that kind of took things to the next level, right? Because you were in New York,
Yeah.
Beyonce wore your piece, but you're like, oh, I didn't have a publicist, so my friends
No,
knew, but
no.
most people didn't know the jewelry. But what do you think was that moment that it was like, oh, I'm on the map with JLANI Jewels now? Like people who are not in my circle know who I am and know my jewelry.
So, I know a friend of mine. Her name is Leslie Sloan. She's a big publicist in Hollywood. And
Mhm.
I used to intern for her when I was in high school, when I thought I wanted to work in PR. And I was like, oh no. That's where I learned what Xanax was. But anyway, so
What?
when we were there, when I was talking to her about my business, Blake Lively is one of her clients. And I wanted to gift her a pair of earrings. So I gifted her a pair of earrings, and Blake wore them out. I got a shot of her, a paparazzi shot with TMZ.
Mm-hmm.
She was out in New York, and I was like, "Oh, I got a photo of her." Woo, woo, woo. And so I thought that was that. But then she had a meeting. Blake had a meeting with Sony Pictures for a film that she was filming in Australia, and she had this idea to use the earrings in a scene. And so the wardrobe team at Sony contacted me, and they just emailed me. They were like, "Hey, we had this meeting with Blake, and she said that she got these earrings from your company and she loves them, and she has this idea to use them in a scene. Is it possible that we can order these in bulk because we have stunt doubles that will need to wear them as well? And how many could you provide for us? Like we would need at least 20 pair." And so I was like, yes, I could definitely do this.
Right.
Like, of course. So I remember I called her publicist and I was like, hey, like, how does this stuff work? She's like, make sure they
Mm-hmm.
pay for everything. I said, okay, thank you. Will do. And so I we worked together and I provided them with accessories. Blake actually went on the website and picked out several other pieces that she wanted to use for consideration to be used in the scenes or worn in the scenes
Yeah.
because she was filming it at the beach. So she wanted like anklets and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So we sent the jewelry to them all the way in Australia and I heard nothing. That was like I want to say that was October 2014 or 2015. And then the following year, it was like May.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the trailer on TV. And all I saw was my earring in her ear.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, they're in the movie. They're in the movie. And so then we get invited to the movie premiere. I take my mom as my date, of course.
Oh, of course.
And so we go to the movie premiere. Afterwards, we hang out with Blake at the after party, take pictures, drink, mingle, and all that stuff. And she was like, "You had no idea what I was gonna do with your earrings." I said, "No." And so at the party, Lorraine Schwartz was there. She's a big time jeweler.
Mm-hmm.
And I had actually met her. I briefly worked at Mount Sinai and she was my patient. And so we had a little moment where I was like, "Hi, I met you at Mount Sinai." And she was like, "No way." Like I told you, side quest. Like
I'm about to say,
I'm
girl, you have lived multiple lives for
multiple
this moment.
lives, yes, but all these stories that connect with each other
Mm-hmm.
where I was like, that was such an isolated incident. I was like, when I see Lorraine Schwartz again, where is it gonna be? At a movie premiere 4 years later and my jewelry's in the film? And she's like, "That's crazy.
That is crazy.
She's like, "You were my nurse, but you had a jewelry line. I knew you had a
Yes.
jewelry line then." So
Yeah.
we're at the party. Lorraine Schwartz is like, "You're gonna do so well after this, congratulations in advance." And what happened was so many publications wanted to feature the earrings.
Mm.
There were designers featuring the earrings like similar style because no one knew where they could get them. Again, I was like, I
Yeah.
need a publicist. So I found this website that basically features styles that are worn by celebrities and featured on TV shows and movies.
Mm-hmm. I've seen those. Yeah.
And so I contacted them and showed them a picture of me and Blake. I showed them the picture of the earrings, the exchange between me and Sony Pictures to
Yeah.
basically confirm and verify that I am the creator of these earrings and that I can get the actual credit for it. And that honestly attracted so many people. The articles about how the earrings saved her life in the scene and all this. And my jewelry went on. I started getting orders for those earrings in 75 countries.
Oh
That
wow. That's
happened
amazing.
that happened overnight. Like,
Come on,
it just
international jewelry brand. I know that's right.
yeah.
Okay, I know
And
that's
so
right.
that really took it to another level, and that was when I said, "Okay, with the right visibility, I can
Hmm.
do crazy, crazy, crazy things, amazing things." And so
That's so
that was the
awesome.
first that was the first major feature that changed everything for me.
That's dope. So you mentioned 2017. That was the year that we all moved, including you. Well, and I
Yes.
saw you post recently. I think you were reflecting on that time when you moved to Miami on the Instagram
Yes.
account. So
Yes,
what
I
made you
was.
move to Miami from New York? Because we think New York, it's the hustle and bustle, the place to be
Right.
for fashion. What made you decide to go to Miami? And how has I will say this? And how has your business changed since being in Miami?
Okay. So, first, my move to Miami, I was conflicted because in
Mm-hmm.
New York, of course, it's where you wanna be as a hustler. It is the place where, the craziest things happen unexpectedly, and you meet people, and it changes your life, and,
Yep.
you can really prosper there. And I did, but there was something lacking. It was a quality of life. And for me, I started to value that more because once I lost my
Mm-hmm.
job, that shifted my perspective to I actually don't care about a steady paycheck bringing me joy. I care about
Mm-hmm.
how I'm spending my time on a daily basis. What's that doing for me? Because what I noticed was I had experienced this level of peace without going to work every day. Like working from home was all of a sudden bringing me this joy that I'd never experienced before. And I had this perception that we had to go to work every day, work a 9 to 5, pay your bills and that's it. You just live in that cycle. And there was never really like a priority for enjoyment or for like personal fulfillment outside of that. It was just as long as you were hustling, you were good. And then I noticed that when I would go on vacation, I would feel, I don't know, I felt like I didn't want to go back home.
Yeah.
And so I started to listen to those feelings because they weren't fleeting. They it would last. And I would be like, I actually don't like coming back here. Like there's something wrong here. I have to figure out what it is. And then I figured it out. I was like, I don't like 4 seasons. I don't like winter. I'm not a cold person. I don't want to be in the snow. I thrive in the summer. I like being in the heat. Being around nature. Like all of those things started to seep in, and it also started to influence my creativity. And I wanted to start creating more things inspired by nature and my surroundings. And so moving here definitely benefited me as an artist because I have a landscape now that inspires me endlessly to
Yeah.
create. And because the weather's so beautiful, I have limitless potential to go out and create. And so there were just less restrictions. I will say New York City will always be home, and there's definitely parts of Miami and New York that are fulfilling for different reasons. I definitely miss the pizza and the bagels and the food. I
Of
mean, like,
course.
no one does cuisine like New York City. It's just
Mhm.
diverse, and whatever you want, you can find it there. And here, it's like you gotta find the best version of it,
Mhm.
But quality of life was my main focus. Just because at the end of the day, I am the core of this business. I'm the
Yep.
I'm the foundation of it. And if I'm not happy, I can't produce. I can't serve. I'm not going to be able to show up the way that
Yeah.
I want to. And so it took me prioritizing my mental health and my personal desires and fulfilling those and put prioritizing them more over career and
Yeah.
money and, being driven and all that because I had spent so much of my 20s doing that in New York where it was just like, okay, I worked these jobs that I didn't like and, but now I get to redefine what life should look like for me. And, maybe one day I'll be a snowbird and I'll fly back and forth,
I doubt
but
it.
I know, right?
I doubt.
I'm
Like
still
what's
going
your
to visit in the summertime. That's it.
right, like you could
That's
do New York
it.
summers, yes.
Yeah. And I have
Yes.
like my family's there. So,
Mhm.
and I have friends in DC, Maryland, Virginia, so
Yeah.
I'll always have a reason to go visit. But I don't get that feeling where I don't want to leave anymore. When I
Well,
come
that's
back
good.
here, I'll be like, so that when you have that feeling, you made the right
Mhm.
choice.
That is true. I think a lot of people in our generation now are having that realization because, we're taught like you go to college, you get a good job, you make good money, and then like that's it. But I think we're all finding, especially as we all, at least friends that I know that we're getting closer to 40, we're like, we want more time to do the stuff that we actually enjoy. Like I don't
Absolutely.
want to sit at a 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5 because
No,
entrepreneurship, I will
not
say this, it's not for everybody.
it's
But
not.
I
Right.
but I do think it's important that you find like what success looks like for you, right? So like for
Absolutely.
you, it's not all about chasing the bag. It's like peace, being able to go to the pool or go to the beach 4 times a week. I'm jealous. 4 times a week, right? Like being able to do those things that really impact your mental health and keep you
Mhm.
inspired because that's the only way you're gonna grow your business
Absolutely,
and actually
absolutely.
enjoy it.
Yeah, just being able to travel and go
Hmm.
visit your friends. Like, I think of a lot of things that I missed out on because of my job. I couldn't
Yeah.
attend a graduation because I had to work. Or so like me being able to catch a flight, go
Hmm.
go support my family at an important event, like that's priceless to me.
Yeah.
And it only fuels me to just keep working harder and just remind myself why I did this because we all know it's more work, but it's the reward that comes from it for me where I get
Yeah.
to dictate how I spend my time. And I think that is much more powerful than anything, honestly.
I agree.
Yeah.
1,000%. What would you tell somebody, because, the purpose of the podcast, of course, is to expose people to new brands that they have never discovered or didn't know
Yes.
existed, but to also be inspiration for people that are looking to, start their own business.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5 and a side hustle. So if
Of
there's
course.
anyone, look, in this economy,
I,
you
I
need more.
listen. I had to do it too. Like you
Listen,
do what you got to do until you don't have to do it anymore.
that part. So what would you tell somebody if they are watching this and they want to start the jewelry line, if they want to just go into a creative pursuit? What advice would you give them? Because I know, we're hearing you were in New York, you hustled, you did what you needed to do. It's kind of like I like to say, like, you have is all you need to get started. Like, if
Yes.
someone were to ask me, like, how do I get started? Just
Just
all you have
start.
is all you need.
Start
Like,
with
even with this, I'm like, I knew someone, my friend recommended to
right.
start the podcast. We're just gonna start and see what happens. And
Exactly.
so, what advice would you give somebody
I would
who's
definitely say start where you are. Don't wait until you feel like you're more ready to, because the truth is there's always going to be a new level for you to reach.
yep.
So just evolve. Just start where you are, start building, believe in yourself, trust that what you're doing is going to be meaningful to someone else. You're going to touch someone else and inspire someone else. And I just think it's important to have a defined purpose in why you're doing it and remind yourself of that to allow you to keep going and push through because it's not easy. And there are so many steps where I could have looked back and been like, man, that I would have given up if I didn't know what I knew then, you know? And so it's crucial that you stay on track and you just on always remind yourself why you got started because as long as you keep that in mind, you'll push through anything. I know I have. And there's been plenty of times where I've felt like, is this going to work? Am I going to be able to keep this going? But there's always something that sends me a message, a sign where I'm like, I'm on the right track. I know that what I'm doing serves a purpose and it's going to be meaningful and it won't be, in vain. So just stay on top of yourself. Stay focused and never give up. Honestly, sounds
I love
cliche,
that.
but it is
I know, but
consistency,
it's true.
talent. I'm not going to hold you. It really does.
It is absolutely true. And I know, what do you think has helped grow the brand besides social media, right? Because my thing is, social media. I tell people all the time, social media is not a real real place.
It's
And
an
we and
escape
you said
first.
it is an escape. And I noticed what I've been seeing too lately is like a lot of businesses, especially Black businesses, have been struggling to stay open. Like, they had a lot of people had a surge during COVID or
Right.
slightly before, right? And now, because I think, I don't, the economy and things are shaking out, a lot of
Yeah.
people are finding themselves in a situation where they may have to close or they have to start back from scratch. So
Right.
how have you been able to leverage, like, all these different changes to keep your business going when so much changes so quickly
So
in
much
such
has
a short amount of
happened. Yeah.
time?
Well,
Yeah.
I've definitely been impacted by that. I've definitely had to adjust things in my life in terms of lifestyle and
Mm-hmm.
cooking more at home, maybe not going out to eat as often, little changes like that because those things add up too.
Mm-hmm.
Um and just prioritizing maybe like we definitely downsized the amount of products that we sell and focus more on quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
And so focus more on like the best sellers and design with more intention. Um, and also I'm getting older. Like my birthday just passed 6 days ago.
Oh, no, happy
I'm
birthday.
thank you. 39. So I feel my taste evolving. And
Mm-hmm.
so, the brand is gonna evolve with me as a
Mm-hmm.
result. So, I'm rolling with the ebb and flows through just being smart with my finances and investing smartly
Mm-hmm.
and scaling back where we don't need to spend as much, and that's been able to um, help me stay afloat. There have been challenges, sure, but What we do is we have sales tactics. We'll run sales sometimes if we want to get a little extra boost in or something, and that's just for a little transparency.
Yeah.
But that's definitely what we do. And we borrow, pay it back. Like we have I've never had an investor. So I did bootstrap the business.
Mm-hmm.
So the only borrowing I've ever done was from a bank ever.
Yeah.
And so I've it's been I'm not gonna tell people to bootstrap their company, but I will say I had my own reasons because
Yeah.
I knew that that involved giving someone control that I wasn't ready to give them.
Would you
And
ever get it in the future? Do you think you'd ever work with an investor?
I would, but
Okay.
it would still require some level of negotiating in terms of like
Yeah.
my involvement, because we've seen a lot of companies when they get bought out, things change, the formula changes, and then they lose their core audience. And so
Mm-hmm.
that would be my main concern, making sure it stays true to why it even exists in the first place.
Yeah.
So you never know. Like I have ideas and plans to explore industries outside of jewelry, but kind of connected. Interior,
Ooh.
home furnishings, and home accents, and everything for the house.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. Yes.
Look, let me know when. I'm here for it.
Yes. So I'm working out different, I'm figuring out how I'm gonna pivot my business, but there are definitely other directions that I plan to go in. So in 2025. So I'm just gearing up for that. There will be investors involved in the next venture for sure.
Yeah.
I learned my lesson.
You're like, I'm not doing that again. It
I'm
was
not doing this
you're
from
like
scratch again. No, no.
you're
We're
like, I was
doing
in my
this
20s. I did that
we're
then,
doing
but
this from experience now.
yeah.
We want soft life.
Okay.
Yeah.
For sure. So before we wrap up, I do have two final questions for you.
Okay.
Who is one of your dream clients to have in your jewelry? I mean, you've had Beyonce, you've had Sierra. I know Tamron Hall wears your stuff all the time on her show because I feel like you
All
tag
the
her all the
time.
time. I'm like,
We
I
we
see
just
you.
sent her some new pieces for her new season. Love her.
I'm like, I see you, I see you. So
She's amazing.
who would you like to see in your jewelry that hasn't
Who
worn it
have I
yet?
not seen? Okay, I have not seen my jewelry on Tracy Ellis Ross yet. I need to see her in my
That would be
jewels.
good. Yes.
And Rihanna.
Yes.
Rihanna has never worn my jewelry.
I could see her doing a good stack.
Oh yes, with the
I could see her
layers.
because every time you post a stack, I'd be like, ooh,
Yes.
I want his mind to look like that.
Yes, yes,
I could
yes.
see her doing a good
So
stack.
so
I could see
I have to give her some pieces for
I could
sure.
see Tracy in some big old hoops with
Oh
her
yes.
hair.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
those are
Rings
good.
with the bangles stacked up, like all that. Yes.
Yeah.
But those are two, and Michelle Obama. Why not?
Why not?
Love her. Love her.
Look,
But
get her some jewelry with her nice silk press
yes, of
or
course.
her braids
Send her some nice hoops.
or her braids.
She'll
Yes.
love that. Yeah, I
So
love braids.
yeah, I can see her. Yeah, because Michelle Obama has now that they're no longer in office, she has definitely eased up on like
Yeah.
as conservative as she was. So
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
loving.
No, she's definitely a fashion girl
She's a
now.
fashion girl. Yeah, she was giving us the long. I said, oh, was that the ponytail to the?
Yeah. I was like,
It was.
I'll move my hair like that too. Like, okay, yes. I love it.
Yes. And so, what are your favorite pieces from your collection? So, because of course we're gonna have the link to JLANI Jewels in the show notes, so everybody can shop. They can find you on Instagram. But what are some of your favorite pieces from your collection?
Honestly, so I'm wearing the J hoops. I love these. They're
Mm-hmm.
named after my mom. And honestly, I designed them in her honor because she was like, I want a small chunky hoop. I said, I got you, girl.
They're really good too.
I love them. And they're so light. I can't do heavy
Yes.
earrings. So this is one of my favorites. I'm a ring girl, so
Mm-hmm.
no matter what, you're always gonna see at least 4 or 5 rings on my hands. So the Olivia ring is one of my favorites. It's a geometric design. It's an open circle, but it's just so chic and sophisticated. I'm obsessed with it. And I'm also just obsessed with my signature hoops. Those are classic. They never go out of style. and they don't look like everybody else's hoops. That's why I love them. They're
Agreed.
four-sided. They're four-sided, so they're multifaceted, and they shimmer from every angle. Love them, and they're just lightweight and chic, and you can't go wrong. And my bangles, of course. I just think they're a easy way to elevate your outfit without doing too much, and you don't have to wear many if you're not a maximalist. But yeah, I love everything in my collection, but those are my current favorites.
Yes, girl, because every time you post on Instagram, I'm like, oh, she's giving us the rings. I said, oh, I need to figure out, I need her to give me a lesson
Yes.
on
Oh
how to
yeah.
wear like 5, 6
I
rings.
need
I'm like,
to
I need a
do.
lesson.
I told you I'm putting myself out there more, so I'm definitely
Yes.
gonna film more reels of me like offering more styling tips. This is how you should wear this. There are things that I do intentionally
Mm-hmm.
with how I style my jewelry, so I do want to share that with people because they may be wondering how does it always look so. Why does it look like that on you but not like that on me? And I'm like, I'm gonna
Yes.
tell you why. Because you're not putting it on the middle finger instead. So I'm gonna drop some little tips and tricks on how to tweak your accessories and make it pop.
Here for it. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited that we finally got to meet.
I'm so excited too. This was so fun. I feel like this was so natural. And
Yes.
when I feel like we could honestly talk for hours about
Mhm.
everything, I swear we could go on and on and on. So this was fun, and I wouldn't mind being a guest again one day. So you never know. What else am I talk
Okay.
about it?
Well, since you said that, when you have the new home collection, the
Yes.
interior design, even before then, we could do this again because I'm sure something else may come up, but we could do this again. But everyone, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check out JLANI Jewels on Instagram, jlanijewels.com. Where else can people find you besides the website and Instagram? Or are those the two main places they should look for you?
Those are the main places you should
Okay.
find me for now. I'm working on my TikTok, but for now, just find me on Instagram and go to my website, and you can email me or DM me if you want to chat.
Yes, because she does respond to DMs because we be DMing each other and tagging. Yes, she
No,
does
I'm
respond to
very
DMs.
friendly and open. Just holla at me.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you check out JLANI Jewels, and I will catch you next time.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Kickback with Keri podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. The Kickback with Keri is available wherever you get your podcasts.